patterns of the pain in your past. The things that broke you, they also awoke you to the questions you needed to ask. The sleepless nights and the dizzying heights and the dreams, some of which came true. Tough breaks, heartaches, perfect mistakes created this version of you. And everything you go through grows you, grows you. And everything you go through grows you, exposes who you are. If it hurt, it made you softer. If it was hard, it fueled the hunger. If it touched you, your heart took hold. If it was simple, it made you wise. If it was sweet, it made you smile. Weaved an indelible impression on your soul. Your feet, they walked, and your lips, they talked, and your hands dug around for the proof. Every look, every book, picture in your mind that you took created this version of you. And everything you go through grows you, grows you. And everything you go through grows you, exposes the roots of an endless summer, part-time temporary lovers, and the swoon of the deep blue sky. And as the time flew, you planted and gathered your truth as it passed before your eyes. And the wound is where the light gets in, revealing the masterpiece just beneath the skin. And in the glow of your own light, your petals open wide, and you bloom right where you are. And everything you go through grows you, grows you. And everything you go through grows you, expose who you are. No man, no lotus, haven't you noticed the patterns of the pain in your past? The things that broke.
Surprise! Surprise! Happy Father's Day and hello to everyone. I tell you, it feels so good to be back. We have Richard, and Pete, and myself. We are just so happy to be back here to share this moment with you. So, in honor of Father's Day, I'd like to sing this song. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to this present moment here, to this new beginning here. And I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. And here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. And here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. And here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. And here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest part of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Yeah. My soul has been so ready to have these folks back. Kat, just a big hug. It is so good to have you back, and it's so good to have each and every one of you joining us today on live stream. And happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers and to all of you who have a father. So that covers all of us. So happy Father's Day. Today we're going to be talking about making our divinity meaningful. And so I invite you, shining our light, being the light of the world, wherever you are, if you can do so right now, to perhaps light your candle. We light this candle here that represents this light that is a part of all being and is certainly a part of our being. So I invite you to join me in an opening prayer this morning. This morning we turn within in that spirit of, get ready, my soul, I'm diving in. We realize that the universe is always available, always is. Just as the earth is always doing what the earth does to grow the seed, the universe is always unfolding our own becoming, our beingness. Today we open to what it is, in spirit and in truth, to be an expression of all that is. And today we give thanks for fathers and for those who truly embody the spirit of what it means to be a loving father. We give thanks for the gifts of this day and ask to be blessed, that we may be a blessing. This time together we are truly grateful. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. I'm going to invite Barefoot Pete, our drummer. Today we're growing in numbers. I want to thank Tia on sound, and Acela is on video today. And then Pete is on percussion, Richard Shulman is on our keyboard and left-hand bass, and Cat Williams, of course, is here with us today. Pete is a dad, a stepdad, and we asked him if he would share an inspirational reading today.
Good morning and welcome. I'll be reading today from the Daily Word that's entitled Father's Blessing. I give thanks for all expressions of fatherly love. My relationship with my father may have been positive and nurturing or difficult and challenging. He may have had a strong presence during my childhood, or he may have been absent. We may be part of each other's lives today. We may be estranged, or he may have passed from earthly life. Whatever our circumstances, I bless my Father and I see him enfolded in divine love. As I honor my father, I also honor all the father figures who have helped guide me along my path. Family members, teachers, neighbors, clergy, employers, and friends. I bless them all as I recall the ways that they have molded my strength, character, wisdom, and patience. Their presence remains with me thanks to their gifts of fatherly love. I have taught you the way of wisdom. I have led you in the paths of uprightness. Proverbs 4:11.
Now when I walk into this room and I look into your eyes, well, somehow I'm not surprised. It's like I've known you all my life. The sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I'm finally found. I'm home. And when you hold me in your arms, with no malice and no harm, and all our hearts are open wide, there's no reason to want or hide. The sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest and call my own. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found I'm Now when I look out on this crowd, and all that I can see is all I've ever dreamed. Looking back at me, the sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found, oh, I finally found, yes, I finally found I'm home.
Oh, wow. Kat, I don't know what you've been doing, but your voice is as beautiful as it has ever been. How are you doing? I know everybody's going to want to hear that. How have you been doing?
I've been doing well. It's been a little hard. I miss being here so much. This is my Sunday release for the week for my stress, and so I haven't been able to be here. So what I do is I rewatch services that we've done, and I just sing along like I'm here. But I can't wait for everybody else to be here with us and give everybody a big hug when it's safe.
Yeah, when it's safe. We're still looking at all your pictures. We've rearranged the chapel, hoping to open soon, but we will hold off on opening until, in the state of North Carolina, the COVID cases are declining down. So I want to thank you all for being here with me and with us this morning. So I'll let you head down, and I'm going to want to talk just a few minutes today about making our divinity meaningful. I saw recently a Peanuts cartoon, and wisdom for me comes in all sorts of places. And this particular Peanuts cartoon opened with it's Lucy and Snoopy. And Lucy is just really looking over at Snoopy, the little dog. And Lucy says, "There are times, Snoopy, when you really bug me. But I must admit, there are also times when I just want to give you a great big hug." And she's looking at him, and Snoopy has this thought bubble that says, "Well, that's what I am, huggable and buggable." and I thought, that's what we all are, huggable and buggable. It's said that we have approximately 7 trillion nerves. And have you had a day recently where you felt like somebody or something was on all 7 trillion of your nerves? And I say sometimes that we feel like some folks are sandpaper for our soul, that you would think their job was to figure out how to get on all 7 trillion nerves. Well, we are all huggable and we are all buggable. It's part of our human experience, our human spirit experience. So for me, the question becomes, in the midst of that reality, how do we make our divinity meaningful? I've said before, our spirituality, our divinity is not like one little chocolate chip in a cookie that if we could just dig deep enough to find that one little spark, because we refer to it as a spark. But it's the life essence in every fabric of our being, that it is the essence of who we are and how to make that divinity meaningful. Eric Butterworth, Unity writer, Unity minister, said that we are human in expression, but we are divine in nature and limitless in potentiality. Well, Jesus said that we're the light of the world and the salt of the earth, and to let our light shine. And so that certainly is making our divinity meaningful. So I want to look at 3 ideas. When we talk about making our divinity meaningful, there's so many ways that we can approach that. But I want to break it down into 3 ideas that I encourage you to hold on to and to work with this week, and allow these ideas to work with you as it helps us bring this light to the surface in all situations, so that we become more huggable and less buggable, perhaps. The 3 things we want to talk about, the first one is that you're designed as an inlet and an outlet of the infinite. The second one is that transformation is your nature. And the third one is that impact is inevitable. So let's look at these one at a time. The first one, I am designed, you are designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. That I am designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. The scriptures say that in God we live and move and have our being. And we could say that in and through and as us, God, all that is, comes to life, comes to form. That we're both an inlet and outlet of all that is, of infinite being. And when we really, really begin to comprehend that, we begin to understand how, we're not self-generated, but we're source-originated. And the things that we face, we have access to a dimension of being and to an infinite power and potentiality that can equip us to face whatever it is we're facing. That we're an inlet and an outlet of infinite being. When I think about this, the image for me that comes to mind, and I'm sure most of you have seen these before, they're the little nesting dolls, quite often referred to as they're very popular in Russia, so a Russian nesting doll. And you have one doll, and then when you open it, there's another one just like it, a little bit smaller, and then another one just like it, a little bit smaller, and then another one. They nest inside of each other, and it's the exact same doll or item, but different sizes, different expressions of it, if you will. I was in my prayer and meditation one day, and my goal when I meditate is to be still and know. I don't typically meditate with a mantra. Sometimes I do, but more often than not, it's more of an insight meditation. It's about becoming completely still and empty and minding my mind, just paying attention to where my mind goes and bringing it back to the moment, and so that I can eventually at least reach spaces of emptiness, of stillness. And this particular day, I had sat in meditation and sort of reached that place of stillness, and all of a sudden I saw this picture of like a doll, but it was me. And it sort of did the opposite. Instead of getting smaller, 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 as I sat there with my eyes closed and I saw this doll egg image of me, it got a little bigger, and then a little bigger, and then a little bigger, and then a little bigger. And as I was sitting and I was just watching this through my imagination, my third eye, not only was I seeing it, but I was feeling this sense of expansiveness. I had a real experience of merging, because what happened was, as I saw this egg doll, Darlene, get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I felt it, it reached a point of the me got so big that at some point the boundaries of my physical being were no longer really there. I became part of all that is. And in seeing that, and most importantly in sensing and having that felt sense of experience, it opened me. I got to experience the depth of who I am as an expression of all that is. And so when we say that I am designed as an inlet and an outlet of the infinite, there are days that I feel like that little tiny mini me, that little innermost me, and that it's me against the world, that I feel so little and separate. And I always do my best to take a breath and remember, yeah, that's part of the feeling nature. I may feel like that. You may feel like that. That's fine. And it's not the end of how things exist. There is a dimension of me, even though I am this individual small self, and sometimes I feel like it's me against the world. I take a breath and I remember that in reality, there is so much more to me, that I'm an inlet and an outlet of the infinite. And that wherever I am feeling the need for peace, the need for direction, for guidance, the need for comfort, whatever it is, as I begin to open to that infinite self, I go from that little innermost self to the infinite self, that as I begin to open, I notice myself relaxing. That I realize I'm never alone. That I am an inlet and an outlet to the infinite. And that whatever I need is an idea away, a thought away, a shift in perspective, a recalibrating in consciousness away. So you are designed as an inlet and an outlet of God, of all that is. The second point is that transformation is your nature. Transformation is my nature. That the nature of nature is to realize its potential. The nature of nature is ever changing. And we are a part of that nature, that our nature is transformational. This past week, I was in a conversation with my next door neighbor, Susan, who's a master gardener. And we were talking about planting some trees or some fast-growing hedges. I was asking her some questions about that. And she said, well, you know, when you plant things like that, you have to remember sort of the rule of a tree is that the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and the third year it leaps. And I thought, that'll preach when she said that. Because in our lives, there are days that we feel like we're just sleeping. We're not even hardly focused. Then there are days that we feel like, well, we're creeping along. And then there are days that we feel like we've taken a leap in consciousness, a leap in transformation. Well, even the sleeping, the creeping, and the leaping are all part of transformation. They're all necessary parts. And you'll be in different places of transformation in different areas of your life. But transformation is our very nature. Healing, transformation, you know, nothing completely disappears. It simply changes from one form to another. And we are always, every day, science tells us our body is being recreated. Our consciousness can be changed. So we are always in the process of transforming. And we can look at a child, especially a newborn baby, and see that happen. There's people, I'm looking forward to seeing my parents, and for many of you, I haven't seen Kat, we hadn't seen Richard or Pete until last week, and so seeing a person after not seeing them for a while, you can see little changes. That we're all in the process of transformation. Transformation is our nature. But there's something interesting about the human species, and that has to do with our consciousness, and we can become so stuck. That's why forgiveness, of not holding on to things that would keep us stuck in a period in time in any part of our life, that transformation is our nature, and we can be counterproductive, and we can be blocking our own growth because we're hanging on to hurtful things, or we're stuck in a place in time. Again, wisdom shows up in all different places, and this week for me, it showed up, I was looking at a Netflix. I saw one of our members posted online. They said, okay, I've been home 90 days now, and I've watched everything on Netflix and YouTube. Does anybody have anything else? Some people have been sequestered so long they're watching everything. But I stumbled across this on Netflix. It's a woman, her name is Hannah Gadsby. She's a comedian. She's also an individual who's diagnosed with autism later in life. And so the way she handles herself is very unique and engaging. And Hannah Gadsby has a show on Netflix called Douglas. Douglas was the name of her dog, and so it's named after that. But she warns her audience ahead of time. She's getting ready to do this monologue. And she warns the audience, and she says, don't take the bait. And then she begins to talk about men in the patriarchy, or a vegan diet, or a paleo diet, or why do some parents not vaccinate their children? Why do others vaccinate their children? She starts talking about controversial issues, but she'll pause and she'll say, that's bait. That's bait. Don't take the bait. And it really caught my attention because I thought, you know, right now in our world, 24/7, bait is being presented. There's bait on social media. There's bait all over the place. And transformation is our very nature. And yet, we're always being offered bait. It is so easy to get so caught up that we're taking the bait and we're spending our time with drama and that sort of thing. Hannah goes on to say, the gap between me and the rest of the world is hate. If I can't get over my hate, I'm constantly taking the bait. That in order to heal that gap, I have to learn, don't take the bait. A powerful teaching when it comes to transformation is always operating in our life. And when there's nothing impeding that, we're being evolved into greater expressions of who we are as the light of the world. Don't take the bait. Allow ourselves to be transformed and to be a presence of transformation. Martha Berry was born, I believe it was Georgia. I know it was the Southeast in the late 1800s. She grew up on a plantation, and she was privileged to learn to read and write. And Martha Berry realized that the children of slaves who were working on the plantations, they had no opportunity for education. And it really spoke to Martha Berry, and she became an educator and wanted with everything in her to be able to help educate those children in the late 1800s who were on the plantations, the children of slaves. But Martha had no money, no books, no building. But she heard about a man named Henry Ford. Henry Ford in the late 1800s was the great industrialist of the time. And so she actually went to Henry Ford and described her vision to him and asked him if he would be willing to help. And he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a dime and he said, "Here, I'll give you a dime." Well, I don't know about you, but I would be tempted to take the bait, to say, "You're giving me a dime for what I want to do." Even back in the late 1800s, that was a very small token of what he could have given. Martha Berry had trained herself for years to see everything that came in her life as seeds of transformation. And so when she took the dime, she graciously thanked him. She did not take any bait. And what Martha Berry did is she went out and she prayed and she thought, what can I do with a dime? Well, she got an idea, buy some seeds. And so she did. And so she planted the seeds, and it took her, but over a period of a couple of years, those seeds grew harvest that she sold, and she planted more things, and so things began to happen. In the meantime, she went to Andrew Carnegie. A few other people saw what she was starting to do, and they began to invest in her. And so she got a building, and she started working with students. And after a couple of years, she went back to Henry Ford, and she said, "I just wanted to thank you for that dime, because it inspired me to buy some seeds and to turn those seeds into transformation." And she told him what she had going on, and he said, "I want to go see it." And so she took Henry Ford to the first building, and she showed him what she had done. And he then pulled out his checkbook, and he wrote her a check for $1 million. Now, again, this was in the late 1800s. He would go on, they would form a relationship, and he would go on to give her over $4 million in the late 1800s to help with this project. And there's a powerful saying by Robert Louis Stevenson that says, "Don't judge every day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds of transformation you plant." The transformation is my nature. And the world is serving up a lot of bait. Don't take the bait. To remember, how can I take whatever is up in my life, how can I take it as seeds of transformation? We have a lot of fertilizer to work with right now. There's a lot of seeds and fertilizer coming up. So, number one, you are designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. I am designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. Number two, transformation is your nature. Transformation is my nature. That if we can remove the blocks and say, "Here am I," reveal what needs to be revealed, heal what needs to be healed, and to be willing to change and to be changed. You're designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. Transformation is your nature. The third one is impact is inevitable. You know, every day, whether we're in a stage of sleeping or creeping or leaping or whatever we're doing in the moment, we are making an impact. In this particular time in our world, we're at a threshold of fresh transformation. It is darkest just before the dawn, the scriptures say. That all of us, impact is inevitable. I absolutely believe around the world this COVID-19 is reminding us that we are interconnected, we share the same air, that we are contagious, and I want to be positively contagious, that we're always leaving an imprint energetically and making an impact, and we get to choose what that is. Webster of Webster's Dictionary has redefined the definition of racism. There are wonderful reforms. There are things that are changing and taking place. And there are other areas where there's a lot of bait being served up and it feels like things are being dug down deeper into the mud. And yet it is often darkest just before the dawn. It is for us to be the salt of the earth. It is for us to be the light of the world. And that means being able to keep our own flame fanned. To spend that time being and sensing that you are that inlet and outlet to the infinite. The transformation is your nature. You can be changed. And that you're always making an impact. Impact is inevitable is the third point to consider this day, this week. Impact is inevitable. I want to close with a story. I shared a story last week of Brian Stevenson, and this is another I've been reading a lot of about him. Brian Stevenson, again, his book, his memoir, Just Mercy, which is a powerful movie if you haven't seen it, but with his work with the Equal Justice Initiative, Brian shares this story. Brian Stevenson says, he was trying to help a man. He has been working with people who are on death row and really should not be on death row for various, either they're innocent or in this particular case, the man was clearly mentally ill. So Brian Stevenson tells a story when he set out to help a man named Avery Jenkins. Avery Jenkins was on death row for a murder he committed as a teenager, but Avery Jenkins was clearly mentally ill. But the judge didn't consider the mental illness at all. And so Stevens went in to meet Avery and to see if he could help him. When attorney Brian Stevens arrived at the prison, he walked through the parking lot and he saw this one particular pickup truck that was covered in Confederate stickers. It had a big Confederate flag on it. It had a bumper sticker on it that said, "If I had known it was going to be like this, I'd have picked my own damn cotton." Kind of tells you how he was feeling, or how the driver of that truck was feeling. So attorney Brian Stevenson, African-American man, walks through the parking lot and sees this big truck. Well, he goes into the prison to meet with Avery, and as a lawyer, it should be relatively easy to show some information and get in. But he was met by a really muscular guard with a Confederate flag tattooed on his arm. And the guard stepped in front of him and said, "If you're going to come into my prison, you're going to go to that bathroom and take off everything and be strip searched." And Brian Stevenson said, "Wait a minute, you must understand, I'm the attorney, and I've never had to do that. Of course, you realize that that's not protocol, it's not necessary." He said it made the guard even angrier. And he said, "In my prison, if you want to get past me, you go get undressed and prepare for a strip search." And so he went through the humiliating search, and then when he got ready to enter into the room, the guard looked at him and said, "Hey, did you see that truck in the yard?" And Brian said, "I did." And he said, "I just want you to know that's my truck. Don't take the bait." Well, he met with Avery Stevens, and Avery was an incredibly broken person. Avery had grown up in foster homes. He had been in, I believe, 19 different foster homes. At one time when he was a child, he had been taken into the woods and chained to a tree and left for days before some hunters found him. He started hallucinating as a kid after having all these horrific things happen to him. He was clearly mentally ill. And when Brian met with Avery and just realized he was clearly mentally ill and should have never been put on death row, but Avery couldn't even hold a conversation. All he kept ranting and raving was, "I want a chocolate milkshake. I want a chocolate milkshake." And Brian was trying to talk to him and say, "I'm going to go to court and help you." And he just kept saying, "But I want a chocolate milkshake." Well, long story short, he worked with him. He went to court, and it took about 3 days in court. He presented a bunch of evidence about this man, told his story, and was successfully able to get him off of death row. And so now it's time for Stevenson to go back to the prison for the final time to let Avery know the good news. And he said when he pulled up to the prison this time, there was that same pickup truck again. And so he went in, he said he braced himself, not going to take the bait, just going to go in and do what I have to do. But he said this time the guard's demeanor was totally different. The same guard said, "Hello, Mr. Stevenson, how are you?" He said, I know the drill. I'll just step into the restroom and get a drink. He said, no, you don't need to do that. He said, okay, then I'll go sign in to the log. He said, oh, no, you don't need to do that, sir. I've already signed in. Everything's taken care of. I'll take you back to see him now. And Stevenson noticed that the guard not only was incredibly kind this time, but he also seemed nervous. That he was wiping his forehead, he was sweating. And he finally looked at him and he said, can I tell you something personal? And Brian Stevenson said, certainly. And he said, I saw what you did for Avery. He said, I'm the guard that took him back and forth to prison every day, and so I was in the courtroom. I heard everything you said and you did for him. And he said, Mr. Stevenson, I want you to know that I came from the foster care system, and they moved me around, and I wasn't wanted nowhere, and it was pretty rough. I didn't think anybody had it as bad as I did, but I realized that maybe your client, maybe this prisoner, had it worse than I did. He said, Mr. Stevenson, I'm an angry person. I've been angry my whole life, but I'm going to tell you something. I think what you're doing, sir, is a good thing. And I hope you keep fighting for justice. He said, so I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell you this. He said, oh, and I wanted to tell you one more thing. That last day when I was taking Avery back to the prison from the court, he said, I did something I wasn't supposed to do. We took a detour, and I got him a chocolate milkshake. They shook hands and looked each other in the eye. Anyone can be transformed, and everyone is making an impact. I am designed as an inlet and outlet of the infinite. Transformation is my nature, and impact is inevitable. This week, may we not take the bait, but use it as seeds of transformation for inspired proaction, doing what is ours to do in an inspired, mindful way. I want to invite you into a time of meditative prayer, and I'd like to use the song by Karen Drucker that says, breathe. I breathe in, I breathe out, I take in, and I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, and I know. Yes, I breathe in, and I breathe out, I take in, and I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, and I know. As we close our eyes, if we would take some time apart to observe our breath with the same gentle attention as we may sit by the shore of a beautiful ocean and watch the waves come in and roll out, come in and roll out. Some waves are higher, more intense. Some are very soft. subtle, and so it is with our breath. I breathe in. I am an inlet of all that is. In God I live and move and have my being. My life is the one life. And I breathe out that I bring all the attributes of life to life. I am an inlet and an outlet of the infinite. And I draw from the source peace that passes understanding. I draw comfort. I draw a felt sense of who I am. I draw inspiration. I draw courage. I draw these things in that I may express outwardly. And I allow nature to remind me that the nature of nature is transformation, is bringing forth all that it is in new expressions. And then if I can be mindful to notice, where am I taking the bait? Where am I getting caught up and stuck in mental reruns, so burdened that I can't breathe easily? Reveal what needs to be revealed. Heal what needs to be healed. May I be transformed. And may I be an agent, a presence of positive transformation. And every time I see a mask, or every time I don't see one, and I hope that I did, let that remind me that I'm always making an impact. Always. The quality of my consciousness goes before me. The vibration of my very presence is felt around me. Small babies sense it, animals sense it, and people sense it. I'm always making an impact. And I pray that it be a positive, uplifting impact. Let me draw from the source of the infinite well, that my cup is full, and that the impact and the imprint that I leave in this world is uplifting, is positive, is healing, is restorative. Is actively engaged. So I breathe in, and I breathe out, and I take in, and I give out, and I let love, and I let go, I release, and I know, yes, I breathe in, and I breathe out, I take in, I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, and I know. I'm going to be praying with you this week, and I hope you'll join me in really being mindful of these three things for this week. You are an inlet and an outlet. You are created, designed as an inlet and outlet for the infinite. That transformation is your nature. Notice where you're taking the bait. And finally, that impact is inevitable, and that's a good thing. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your impact. I want to thank you for your cards, your letters, your prayers. I want to thank those of you who have let us know if you have a unique situation in your life, if you've needed prayer, if there's some way we can support you, please contact us at the church and let us know. I also want to thank you for your continued financial support. You've been very generous, and we're very mindful. Some people, this is not an easy time financially. Other people are just doing fine, and so all we ask is that you would do your part. And so far, we've all been doing what we can do and what is ours to do, and financially, we're doing just fine. So I want to thank you for that there. Again, I'm going to invite Kat to come up. She's got one more song in just a minute, and I want to thank Kat and Richard and Pete, and again, Tia and Acela for being with us. But I want to give a shout out. Reverend Christy Corna, who is our associate minister, is turning the big 6-0 today. I'm happy to say she's a little bit older than me. I had to tell that, Christy. So whenever you see this, happy birthday, the big 6-0. That's pretty exciting. So we're celebrating you, Christy, and glad that you're part of the spiritual community here. We have a number of Zoom classes and activities online, and so if you just visit our website, you'll see what's going on there. And the other thing, again, we're hoping to be able to have our first service with a much smaller audience on July 5th. Two important things to remember. Number one is we'll just stay tuned, because unless the COVID cases in North Carolina are coming down, we're not going to gather again until the cases are coming down. So if they come down, we'll have our first service July 5th. Some of you have already registered. Some of you may say, why do I need to register? Well, we're only going to be able to accommodate about 50-ish people by having to spread out with the 6 feet distancing. We're only going to be able to accommodate probably 50 people plus all of us that are part of the service. So what that means is we wouldn't want anybody to drive here and then be turned away. So the best thing you can do is register, and there's a real easy way to do that. That's on our website, or you can always call our church and we can help you that way. So I want to thank you again. I want to thank our team. Kat, I just can't tell you how good it is to have you back, to see your smiling face. Kat's going to close with a song by Marvin Gaye that says,
What's going on?
What's going on?
Oh, and mother, there's too many of you crying. Oh, and brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know you got to find a way to bring some loving here today. And Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know you got to find a way to bring some loving here today. And picket lines and picket signs don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so that we can see, oh, what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? La 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 la. La 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 la. Ha 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 ha. La 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 la. Woo! Oh, and mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair's too long. You know you got to find a way, oh, to bring some loving here today. Oh, and picket lines and picket signs, oh, don't punish me with brutality. Come on and talk to me can see. Oh, what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
Hey,
on?
what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
Hey,
on?
what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? Oh, my, 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 my. I said, picket signs and picket lines. Don't punish me with your brutality. Come on and talk to me. Oh, come on and talk to me, so that we can see what's going on. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah. So the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Have a wonderful week. Richard, send us home.